Hey everyone, my name is Cedric, and today we're going to talk about SRT. Now, you're going to want to use SRT in any kind of large canopy tree that has a high ascent, and we talked about using DRT on any tree that's 30 feet or smaller, so we can just kind of make it a rule of thumb to use SRT on any tree that's 30 feet or taller. And the reason why is because ascending using SRT uses so much less energy on your body, so you won't be as tired when you get up into the tree. I'm also going to teach you the two different styles of setting up. So one will be having your anchor in the tree, the other will be having your anchor on the ground, and we'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of those two setups. Then I'm also going to show you how to set up your friction device on the rope that you've set. We're going to introduce a new piece of equipment called the rope wrench, and I'll tell you all about that. And then lastly, I will do a demonstration of what it's like to climb on your static line SRT. Let's get started. The first setup we're going to do involves a ground anchor. And before we do that, I want to show you the knot we're going to be using to tie it off. And it's called a running bowline with a Yosemite finish. So we know how to do a running bowline already. And I'm just going to show you how to make the Yosemite finish, because if we just do a bowline on the tie off, it's not going to be secure enough. So we're going to start off with our bowline, and the only thing that's going to be different is you're going to need a lot of tail. So most of the time when you do a bowline, you have about 6 inches of tail, and you just complete it and tie it off, just like that. Well, with the Yosemite finish, we're going to need a lot of extra tail. So we're going to go in, start our running bowline just like we always do, but you're going to make sure you have a lot of tail. Okay, so it's going to look like this, which that right there is a bowline with a lot of tail. So the reason we want a lot of tail is because we're going to go ahead, and you don't want to dress anything right now. So what we're going to go ahead is trace this line exactly how it is with the rest of your tail. So I'm literally, as you see, your tail is coming out, and we're just going to trace this back, and it's going to lead us back out to where we started. So I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to literally trace it right back. So far, okay, we have that traced. Now there's one more little loop right here I'm going to trace. And it's going to trace us all the way back out to where our bowline originally started. It's going to end up looking like this. Now, you're going to have to dress it a certain way, because what you're going to do, you can dress a little bit, but what you want to do is take your original bowline loop, which would be this part right here that we made, and you're going to tighten that first with the running end of your line. So just like it was a regular bowline, okay? So we're going to tighten that up just like we would a regular bowline. Okay, so we've tightened that up. And now we're going to take our tail that we ended up tracing everything else with, and we're going to go ahead and tighten that up last. So this is the end product of the running bowline with a Yosemite finish. The first setup I'm going to show you is going to be anchoring the rope at the base of the tree. So I've set up our rope already, and with SRT, it's hard to retie your rope, so your tie-in point is kind of difficult if you need to change it. So I've gone ahead and hit the highest point that I could, because I'm not going to change it at all once I'm in the tree. So the nice thing about the ground anchor is you don't have to isolate your limb, because basically in this setup you're tied off to this end of the rope, and on the other limb, on the other rope, it's tied off at the base of the tree. So you no longer have two ropes you're working with, you literally just have one tied off on you. So I'm gonna give you a demonstration of tying it off at the base. So we're gonna wrap our rope all the way around the base. And we're gonna go ahead and do that bowline, running bowline with Yosemite finish, okay? Okay, so we've tied it off. Now we can go over here to the other side of the rope. And as you can see, this is gonna hold our weight because it's tied off on the other side. Now, what you need to know, what's important, is sometimes you're not gonna use all your rope. So in order to tie off your anchor, you're just gonna have to use a bite on the rope and wrap it around the tree and do exactly what we did, but you'll just be using a bite instead because you'll have a lot of excess rope everywhere. There are 3 safety factors you need to know when you're climbing SRT with a ground anchor. The first of which is because you're climbing a static rope, it's parallel on the other side is tied to the tree, and it's extremely easy to forget about it or maybe not see it, because if you cut that side of the line, you're automatically falling because your entire system's gonna fail. The second thing you need to know is that whenever you have your body weight on this side, it also is countered with the same, up to the same weight on your other side that's holding you up. So instead of just 165 pounds on the crotch, you all of a sudden can up to double your weight on the crotch. And that's important to know if the crotch is smaller or, you know, just making sure nothing can fail up there. The third thing you need to know is that whenever you're trimming larger trees, you're not necessarily gonna come down the same way you went up with SRT, especially if you're zigzagging all around the canopy. You're gonna end up using a lot of your rope in the tree, and you may not have enough rope to get to the ground. So you wanna make sure you have enough before you go up to make sure you can safely get back down. Next, I'm gonna show you how to set up an SRT system using an aerial anchor. So as you're setting up your tie-in point, you need to make sure your line is isolated. And once we have our line set, I'm gonna show you the knot we're gonna have to tie, and it's called the Alpine butterfly hitch. So we're gonna have our working in, the part we're gonna tie in on this side, and we're gonna tie the Alpine butterfly hitch with the rest of our rope. And we're gonna start off by making a loop. And it's important to grab this loop from the outside of the rope. So like this would be wrong. This would also be wrong. We're gonna get from the outside, okay? About 1.5 feet long. We're gonna then make another loop, okay? So what's important is this area inside. So we're gonna wanna grab that from the outside also. So again, if I were to grab like this, that's wrong. We wanna grab it just like this. Now, what we're gonna try and do is get this looped area to come around this outside and go right through this hole. So I'm just gonna, you can either flick it or you can just bring it over slowly with this hand and get it right through there, okay? Then we're just gonna go ahead and tighten up both sides of the rope. All of a sudden we have our Alpine butterfly hitch. Next, we're gonna take this end of the rope, put it right through, and you're just going to feed it until it gets all the way to the crotch or the tie-in point, and voila. What's nice about this is you don't have to have a crotch necessarily to tie this in because it's self-cinching. This is great for building clearance because building clearance is usually on the sides of trees and you want to get out to the side. The dangerous part about this is if you tie this out on a limb too far, it puts multiplied added pressure to the base of the limb where it meets the tree. So you don't want to go too far on a limb and tie this. A couple other things to be noted is that you no longer have the double weight that we had when there was the ground anchor. So it's just your weight here. Also, we don't have that other part of the rope coming down to where if you cut it, it's gonna make you fall. Because if you cut this side of the rope, you're not gonna fall. It's only this side. So that's nice. The disadvantages of this is that the same way you went up the tree, you're gonna have to come back out. Because if I go ahead and walk over a limb and then as you're retrieving, we're gonna pull this side of the rope, there could be a limb in between you and your alpine butterfly hitch, which makes it difficult and sometimes not able to get your rope out of the way. There are ways around this, but we're gonna discuss that further in the curriculum just because it's a little more advanced. All right. Now I'm gonna show you how to set up your friction device and everything else when you're climbing SRT. So first thing we're gonna talk about is the rope wrench. And what the rope wrench does is it allows you to descend on your single line, because if this wasn't here, your pressure cord would grab the rope so tightly it would burn off. And what this does is it puts a crimp and it kind of relieves a little bit of the stress so you can descend properly. So this doesn't help for your life support and doesn't help you going up. As you set up on your rope, you'll notice it says up. So you wanna make sure that's pointing up. Then we have a little clip here that just opens in and out. So first we'll just set this on the rope, clip it in, and we're just gonna leave it there. Next, we're gonna set up our pressure cord. Same knot, same friction hitch we do with the DRT, the Michikoan hitch. So 5 times up through, okay? Next, we're gonna put on our micro pulley. And this is important to talk about because my rope wrench, there's a good chance yours is gonna look different. Yours will most likely have it split into 2, as where mine just comes down to 1. And the reason for this is because when it splits into 2, it kind of centers and aligns your entire system a little more. So right now I just have the 1, and you're gonna put it outside of the micro pulleys, and then you're gonna put your pressure cord on the outside of that, and you're gonna connect it all with your carabiner. And we're gonna hook that up to the bridge. And then you're ready to climb. I'm gonna give you a little demo of what it's like to climb SRT. Before I get started, I'm just gonna make sure I have a stopper knot at the bottom of my rope. That's just in case if you run out of rope, it'll stop you before you hit the ground. And we're gonna have to have our foot ascender to climb on SRT. So I'm gonna hook that up. And it's pretty similar to climbing DRT with your foot ascender. So as you get up, you're just gonna kind of step on your foot ascender. And just like before, the first bottom 5 or 6 feet, the foot ascender has a little harder time to go up on the rope because you don't have as much weight that's pulling down on it. So as you get higher, it's a little easier. There we go. It's a little easier to start going. So I'm just gonna kind of hold on with my hands, move my feet up and let that do most of the work. And every maybe 2 or 3 strokes, we can pull our system up. Just kind of rest as needed. Whenever you're ready, just start again. And descending is pretty much the same. We're gonna take off our foot ascender. And we're just gonna lightly press our pressure cord. And the rope wrench kind of allows us to move down the rope smoothly. That's how you're gonna climb SRT. So that pretty much sums up SRT. It's faster, it can save more energy, and make things a little easier, especially when you're pruning large canopy trees. That's it from me, and I'll see you in the canopy.